Well, the UI was a massive hit in Dragonflight and a lot of you still use it now, but as it's changed a little since the last video, I thought it would be a good idea to make a new one. This video is sponsored by SteelSeries, but we've got a lot to talk about, so we'll cover that later. In this video, we'll go over the entire installation process and explain how it all works. Of course, you don't have to import all of my profiles. For example, if you only want to use the details profile, that's absolutely fine. And I'll have timestamps for everything so you can jump around to the part that's relevant to you. Before we get into everything, you'll need to make sure you have the following add-ons: ElvUI, ElvUI WinTools, Plater, OmniCD, Details, BigWigs and LittleWigs, and WeakAuras. You may want to grab GM fonts if you want to use the Roboto font that I use, and lastly, shared media if you're importing the dungeon WeakAuras and you want the sound pack to go along with it. There's a couple of different options in terms of sound packs, but we'll touch on that later in the video. I also have a few disclaimers before we start importing all of the profiles. Firstly, this UI was made with DPS in mind, so it may not be well suited for healers, although it does work for me. Tanks should be just fine, but if you prefer having raid and party frames underneath the player and target frame, you'll need to adjust this yourself. Secondly, this UI was made for my resolution, which is 4K. You may need to adjust the scaling to make sure everything fits. I get a lot of comments and questions on the Discord asking why it looks so wonky or out of place, even though this is noted on the Discord post itself. A lot of people seem to miss this one. Now, regarding party frames, I have resources hidden within ElvUI, and instead I use a WeakAura to show the healer's mana. I'll cover that one in the WeakAuras section of the video. This isn't going to be a beginner's guide to installing add-ons or anything like that. I'm going to assume that you have some basic knowledge of add-ons and you know how to download them. Alright, so I'm on a fresh character, everything looks like a mess, I've downloaded all of the add-ons I need, and now we're going to import all of the profiles. We're going to kick things off with ElvUI. Firstly, let's get rid of everything on the screen as none of it really matters. We'll also drag the details window out of the way. And if you have this message at the top, just select Plater and it should reload. This just turns off the ElvUI nameplates so it doesn't conflict with Plater. We'll open up ElvUI by typing /EC. Click on the Profiles tab on the left hand side, and at the top, click on Import. Use these boxes to import the ElvUI profile. So we'll head over to the Discord and locate the Dillisan UI channel within the Warcraft category. This contains all the links that you'll need to import my profiles. Click on the link for ElvUI and WinTools and it will take you to my Dropbox. Click on Dillisan ElvUI, select all of the text and copy the code, head back over to WoW and paste this into one of the boxes. It doesn't really matter which one. Now, if you want to use my WinTools profile too, you can go back to the Dropbox page, click on the X in the top left hand corner to go back, click on Dillisan WinTools, and once again copy all of this code, and then back inside WoW, you can paste this one into one of the other boxes. And yes, you can actually import both of these together. Once you've done this, simply press the import button. Everything should shift around and a box will appear asking you to reload the UI. We'll press accept and do this now. However, if yours doesn't reload, you can type /RL or /reload to do it manually. Then we'll make sure both profiles are set. Open ElvUI once again, head back to the Profiles tab and make sure Dillisan is selected. You can of course rename this by creating a new profile, name it whatever you want, and choose the Copy From feature near the bottom. Just be careful not to delete it instead. I may have done that more times than I care to admit. When that's done, head over to the Private tab near the top. Now, this one's a bit of a weird one for me, as the profile selected is often character specific and rather annoying. What I tend to do is create a new profile, like I showed for the normal profile, and use the Copy From feature. This process may mean reloading the UI a couple of times, but you only have to do this once. Then, when I'm setting up a new character, I simply select this private profile to keep everything clean and tidy. Perhaps there's a better way of doing this, but this is what works for me. Now, the scaling may look a little weird for some users, and like mentioned, this is because of the resolution. One thing you can adjust is the UI scale option in the General tab of ElvUI. Mine's usually set to 0.6, and that's what works for me. It's all personal preference at the end of the day, and we all have different size resolutions, so what I like and what works for me may not work for you. And although you can do this now, it will have an effect on the placement for the OmniCD profile, which we'll get into in just a second. SteelSeries has partnered up with Blizzard for World of Warcraft's 20th anniversary. They reached out and sent me a care package containing some incredible peripherals which were obviously World of Warcraft themed. Peripherals such as the Arctis Nova 7 headset, the Aerox 9 wireless MMO mouse, and of course a giant mouse mat to go with it. If you want to pick any of these up yourself, I'll leave a link in the video description. I'm super happy and proud to be part of the collaboration, and thank you to SteelSeries for sponsoring this video. Alright, back to the UI and picking up where we left off, we're going to start with OmniCD. So we'll close ElvUI and we'll type /OC to open up OmniCD. Click on Profile Sharing. Again, following the links from the Discord, copy the code just as before. We're going to click on Import, paste in the code and press Decode at the bottom. It'll ask you if you want to import the profile, press Accept and then close this window. We'll then drag OmniCD to the right and click on Dungeons. Then we want to click the test option at the top to enable the party frames. As you can see, the interrupts, CC and spells don't quite line up the way they should, so I must adjust the scaling within ElvUI to make it fit. Now, as mentioned for me, 0.6 is my preference, so I'll set it as so, press enter to apply this change, escape to close everything, and we'll click on accept for this pop-up to reload the UI. You could try this yourself and see if it works for you, but some elements still may not line up for you due to the resolution of your monitor and what you play at. So see how it looks after the reload. If it's all in a place that you're happy with, then you're pretty much done for OmniCD. However, if you're not happy with the placement, you'll obviously need to move them. To do this, firstly, I'll make a backup so I can revert back to this position if I need to. Alright, within Dungeons, go to the Positions tab. Now, the two settings that you'll want to adjust are the X and the Y offset, and simply move these around to the position that you're happy with. Alternatively, you can tick the manual mode at the bottom and move it around freely, but as I prefer to link these to the party frames, I choose to leave these the way they are. Then we'll head over to the Extra Bars tab. Here you'll see Interrupts and AoE CC, which are the two you'll likely want to move. Under the Interrupts tab, you can untick Lock Frame and move this around freely. Again, I'm not going to cover every single setting, but I will mention one that helps with placement. Currently, the way I have things set up, the interrupts grow upwards, but if you untick the Grow Rows Upwards box, they'll then grow downwards instead. Moving over to the AoE CC tab, the same rules apply here. Untick Lock Frame and move this around to wherever you want it. Now we're going to take a look at Plater. So we're going to type in /Plater and press enter, click on Profiles, then Import Profile. Once again, following the link from Discord, copy the code and paste it in this box. You can name it whatever you want, then click OK. The game should then reload and everything should be set. In terms of nameplate colors for DPS and healers, red means you have aggro, orange means you have high threat, so you're close to ripping aggro, pink are casters that need interrupting, light blue are enemies with frontals, and pale blue is everything else that the tank has aggro on. It's pretty similar for tanks. Red are those you don't have aggro on, pale blue are those you do have aggro on, and everything else should be the same. In terms of enemy abilities, their cast bars will change colour and size depending on what type of ability is being casted. Normal spells are highlighted in yellow. These are great for interrupting, but lower on priority. Big orange cast bars are the important spells that you must interrupt. Never let these go through. Red are frontals, and purple are the non-interruptible spells that you must stop with CC. Next we have Details. Type /DT space config to open up Details. Click on Profiles, then Import Profile, and here is where you import the code, then press OK. Give it a name, then press OK again. If your details now looks like this and you're happy, then you're done with this part. If not, or you'd like to move them to another location, in Display under Window Control, click on Lock, then move the window to wherever you want it. Now we're going to install the BigWigs Profile. This will overwrite the current profile instead of importing a new one. And as I like to keep everything clean and tidy, we'll create a new profile first. Type /BW to open BigWigs, then click on Profiles. We'll type in the new profile name in the box and press OK. From here, we'll click on Import, paste in the code from the Dropbox link, select everything you wish to import, then click the Import button at the bottom. Press Accept and you should be good to go. We can test the bars and placement by going to the Bars tab and clicking on Create Test Bar. If you're not happy with the positioning, click on Show Moving Anchors and move them to your desired location. Now, we're only missing a few things to finish off the UI, and that's the WeakAuras. I didn't create any of these WeakAuras, though I do tend to make adjustments to suit my preference. That said, however, I do have my own sound pack, which we'll touch on in just a minute. We'll start off with the tracker for the healer's mana. All of the links for these can be found on the same page of the Discord near the bottom in the WeakAuras section. For this, click on the Healer Only Mana bar, and this should take you to wago.io. click on copy import string, then in-game type /WA to bring up WeakAuras. Click on import, paste in the code, and click on import once again at the bottom. Now this one does state for me that it is created for a different version of the game, but don't worry, it works absolutely fine. Next, we'll import the class WeakAuras. For these, I use Luxfos. Click on the Luxfos link provided, which will take you to his profile page on Wago. Then find the class that you need. Again, copy and import the code. It's usually a bit big for my liking, so I tend to change the group size from 1 to 0.8. Then I go into the position settings and change the Y offset to move it down slightly. If you want the default dungeon and raid WeakAura pack, follow the links and apply the same steps. These are absolutely amazing for displaying information, making you aware of incoming spells and mechanics, and if you download the Shared Media Causes add-on, you get sound cues for the abilities that are absolutely amazing if you're anything like me and you get overwhelmed by everything going on. These have honestly improved my Mythic Plus experience so much. They've made mechanics easier to handle and be aware of, and I've pushed my score so much further since I started using them. Got ADHD and struggle to focus? Do you need something to tell you when a mechanic is about to go off? When you should spread, stack, avoid? Then you should definitely try one of these sound packs. However, the default sound packs just don't do it for me anymore. So with the help from my not so little one, Bastian, we created our own.
3, 2, 1. AoE. Dodge. Dance. Charge. Enter.
And if this is something you guys are interested in, this is available to both Twitch subs and Patreons.
Frankly, that's a skill issue.
Man, it just sounds so much better. Speaking of Patreons, you guys are absolutely amazing and I can't thank you enough. It's largely because of you guys that I'm able to continue doing what I love. And if you'd like to support me further and add your name to this list, you can find my Patreon linked in the video description. Alright, so that's it for the UI. There are a few things that I've missed off. There may be other profiles and niche WeakAuras, but everything else should be listed on the Discord. Let me know what you think of the UI. If you have any issues, you can either post on the Discord in the UI and add-ons channel, you can comment down below, or you can come and ask me while I'm live either on Twitch or YouTube.